Welcome to Breaking Boundaries podcast. I'm Matt Colomer here with my co-host Raphael Avjolu. On this podcast, we interview people that are pushing themselves and testing their limits within art, business, and entrepreneurship.
What drives you, what pushes you to your breaking point, and what got you to where you are right now? This is Breaking Boundaries podcast.
All right, guys, we are back with another podcast episode, Breaking Boundaries podcast. I'm here with my co-host, Raphael.
What's good?
And we have our guest today, Alyssa Pascucci. Is that how you say it?
That's how you say it.
All right. Cool. So, yeah, she's a videographer, and she does a little bit of photography as well. She's really getting into the scene here. So, yeah, why don't we have her introduce herself?
So my name is Allie. I am from Southern New Hampshire, and I am a videographer and photographer in the Boston area. I do a lot of concert media, a lot of nightlife stuff, and like lifestyle brand work. Awesome.
Mm-hmm. So how did you get into doing video?
I'd say it started about a little under a year ago. I bought a camera. I think I started watching social media videos that got me into, travel videography, like anyone else. And I decided to just on a whim buy a camera and brought it on a trip or two. And then all of a sudden I was like, wow, I like this. Like this could work. And I decided to leave school I was at. I started online and I built this as like a freelance business.
That's awesome. Yeah. So I recently reached out to Alyssa online on Instagram and just like wanted to meet up to like hear her story, how she got into it. I saw her reel for your footage and all that stuff from the summertime. A lot of it was.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, like she's pretty good. And I was kind of surprised that you just started, only like a year ago or so.
Yeah.
So like, how did you kind of get into it and wanted to take it like seriously, like that?
I actually got super lucky because I had a few friends that, were already in the scene for a while, not necessarily professionally, but at their school, I feel like everyone kind of starts with like, at parties and at skate parks, stuff like that. They had figured a lot of stuff out already that they helped me with. A lot of pointers that I think would have wasted a lot of time me figuring out and learning on my own.
Sure.
And then I met someone else who... a few other people who were just very good at giving me a shot, just being like not expecting much, but just being like, sure, go for it. And like, it was a few of those chances that I got really lucky with to kind of start off from.
Yeah, I was going to say that like starting out for me in photography, I like didn't know anyone, didn't even like in my classes, like didn't know like anyone that was like taking this seriously or like really cared to do anything. So I was like reaching out to people on social media, like, hey, what's up? Like, can you help me out? And people were like, what? No. And I was like, okay. So like to like have that from the beginning, I feel like I trail back, and I'm sure you will as well. Like in a couple of years, like someone will like be like, yo, people probably already are, but like just being like, hey, can you like help me out? And you'd be like, yeah. Cause you got that in the beginning.
Yeah. No, I feel like it's a huge, like, it's a karma thing and it's like a pay it forward kind of thing. Like I think of it two ways. Like when people reach out to me and they ask like I'd love to come shoot with you, stuff like that. First of all, I love when people reach out and say like, hey, let's shoot. Like I think that's the coolest thing. And that was one of my favorite things about starting this out was this like whole cool community of people that I wouldn't have met around me. Like in my hometown, my area, it wasn't particularly like super creative. I didn't grow up with this. So it was really cool to just like all of a sudden meet like all these people from all over. And like, if I like named the people I mostly hung out with now, like none of them are from my hometown or from like I'd say like my old life before I started realizing this is what I like to do. They're all people that I've met through these like creative environments, and that's so cool.
So like you said that you left school. How was that like process? And was it like scary? Was it like, I don't know, or was it like this is easy?
Like this is it. Yeah, it was kind of a multi-step process. The school I was at, I was about to take a break from school and work. It's part of the program that I do there. I was at Northeastern.
Right. Yeah.
And so like I was about to start co-op, and I realized with what was happening with co-op was that I would have kind of got these like mentorship shadowing jobs at places like I could have gotten ABC or all these different networks. And you were just kind of like a small piece of like the running mechanism that was that huge studio production. And if you wanted to get into television production, I could see why that's something very valuable to you. But whereas I kind of wanted to get in and like wear multiple hats, like between producer and director and cinematographer, like I wanted to do a little bit of everything. And I realized I could go out and do it on my own and kind of get like recognition for my own work, and I could have a lot more creative freedom and have a lot of more free time to do so. And that's kind of when I decided, like when I was about to leave classes to start that co-op, that I wanted to kind of go out and just do it on my own.
Yeah, I think that's something that a lot of people, myself included, have that kind of thought or those thoughts about this kind of career field, where they're just like, you know what? Yes, I could be this little like cog in the wheel of this huge like corporation or whatever, but I think if you kind of go into it with the mindset, I want to have more creative control and I want to have more independence with it, that a lot more opportunities open up, or a lot more than you initially think. And I think back to what you guys were saying, or what we were all saying before, it was like the networking and the people that I've made myself, and I'm sure you guys can attest to it too, but the people that I've been able to meet and interact with and then end up collaborating and working together on projects is like, that has been the biggest thing. It's just opened up way more than I could have actually anticipated. And just really getting in the scene in Boston here over the last like year and a half or so, I've really like kind of taken to that and just really, you know, put the gas down and, you know, pedal to the metal. I'm just like, I want to meet people. I want to collaborate. So, you know, it's fun, and it can be scary kind of jumping into it like that. But I really think that's like the benefit, is just having those people around you that have that kind of same mindset. And that,
well, that's why
really
like I bring it up, because I think that some people need that structure of being part of like a big corporation or a big company or working for a large studio, because I feel like it provides that like either set hours or very much like if you fuck up, it doesn't fuck up the whole project. Like, whereas if you run your own business or do your own thing, it's 100% like if you fuck up, that's your business.
Yeah, and a lot of people
you.
love schedules and stability. For some people, that's how their personality it's just how it works for them.
Right.
But like there's such a large community of people who love like instability. They love like just
not knowing what
winging
the week
it.
is
They
gonna
love
be,
seeing they love like the free time. Like I know like myself included, a bunch of people like me, like you just want to pick up and go somewhere else and just like travel somewhere. You can bring the work with you, and it's almost like it enhances your work. It's a creative break from the less creative work that you do within this field. And there's so much like freedom to do what you want, but still kind of build your, like you're still kind of doing something that's kind of pointing towards your work. You're still learning. You're learning camera work. You're learning editing skills, networking skills, but it's kind of a break from work, and you're doing something creative. It's there's not as big of a separation between like work and home life. It's kind of more intertwined.
Yes, that's definitely what it is. It's like, it's more, and it's, I think all three of us at this point, at least, you know, you're doing some stuff like classes and stuff still, but like all three of us are kind of in that place right now where we have like time freedom, which like, I think that's like the biggest thing, like really. And it can be scary, and sometimes you need to be very disciplined versus having that very, you know, set schedule and those set work hours, which, you know, that's not all bad. Like there are good things to that too. Yeah. And you can plan things and whatever, but just like you said, it's like the ability and, you know, just being able to go, like, you know, I'm going to California next month. And I think you said you are too.
We both are, actually at the same time.
And it's like, I can do that. Like I have more than 2 weeks off. Right. Yeah. Like, and I just think that's a shame, especially in America. Like, I think that's a big issue. Like people, you know, they're working these jobs, and a lot of people, you know, they have to because they need to support a family or whatever. And I respect that. But it's like 2 weeks off out of 52. Yeah. Like that's whacked.
Yeah.
Like
I think, you know? Like when you're in your 20s, especially, and like you know, because you watch Gary Vee just as much as I do from afar. So like talking about like
guy's crazy,
being in your 20s, and just like if you are like not married, you don't have any kids, and you just like have this like, I mean, like even if you are, by all means, I'm not like saying that you can't go do that, and by all means, if you can, make it work. Yeah. But like
a lot more challenging.
It's the time to set aside and go, for the next 5 weeks, I'm going to learn Premiere, and that's what I'm going to do. And I'm not going to pick up any gigs, and I'm not going to make any money, and I'm just going to learn Premiere because fuck it, why
Yeah.
not? Or like this week I'm going to California because fuck it, why not? Like I'm gonna figure it out. Like, and being able to like spend time on things like podcasts, being able to
Yep.
spend time on things like just picking up a craft and like learning now, so that when you are transitioning into your 30s, you already have like all this time that you built that there, you built that there, you learned this there, you traveled there, and you figured that out there, and you shook those hands over there, which none of it was paid, or maybe some of it was paid, but not all of it was paid, but you figured it out, like that you needed to like plant those seeds so that you can make what you want to make happen later on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the earlier you plant those seeds, the better off.
And that's something I definitely I've learned quickly about that, is that not everything, because I'm definitely the type of person, and anyone who's in this field has to be this type of person, where you have to be very self-motivated, you have to be very driven, passionate
sure.
about what you're doing, because if you lose interest,
Yeah, you have
this
to be
is all
excited
hell.
about
But
it.
like what you have to like realize is like, and I had to learn, is you don't get that instant gratification. Like you kind of make these mini milestones that are exciting.
Your career is not Instagram.
But like there's not like not Instagram, it's instant. So like,
Yeah. No, I
know,
oh okay,
but
yeah, like
Instagram
it's
is
and a
instant
lot of people,
gratification.
it's so easy to just make it seem like you've like succeeded, like that
Yeah,
you've kind of like made it because of whatever you've curated online.
Right.
But like I think it's important to realize that like everything's like a stepping stone.
Yeah.
And it's not all like, I think it'll be cool to like go 10 years down the road and like trace back like what job led to what, and like how I got to where I was, how anyone like progressed to whatever career they end up in. And it's kind of important to realize that you're not going to get that immediately. Like it takes time.
Exactly. And like anytime if something goes wrong, like whatever, like a shoot doesn't go through, you don't get that gig that you thought you were going to get, all that stuff, every single time it's just a learning experience if you view it that way.
Yeah.
If you view it as like a tragedy and you're just like down and out, then like clearly that's not going to be good for you.
Right.
But like just like Alyssa said, like going on a trip and like you know I'm going to go on this trip and then like I'm going to shoot a video, or I'm going to shoot something out there. It's just you're learning the whole time. And if you view it like that, some people view a vacation as like taking time off and just like not really doing anything, and maybe someone's family or other people around them might view, them going to California, they're just being young and like reckless and stupid. But like if maybe not, if you have like a plan, like I'm gonna go there and I'm gonna practice my craft. Yeah. Like I'm just gonna continue doing that.
Yeah, I haven't taken a vacation in a long time. It's always been like trips to go places, but I'm like, I have like 10 shoots lined
Everything
up.
is like a hidden agenda. Like you kind of like, I call it like I'm always like scheming to like pull something off.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's like even just going on a trip or wherever, and I think a lot of this can be brought back to like traveling and all that, because a lot of it is about like excitement and like the unknown of it. Like I remember when I went to California for the first time by myself, like I went on like a 2-week trip about exactly 3 years ago, actually, in January like 2016, and it was like amazing. Like I was nervous about it. I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do when I'm there by myself. And then it was just like honestly like a transformational trip for me. Yeah. And I'm like, why would I ever not do this? Like I actually feel like I'm living right now. Yeah. Versus like sitting at home wishing about it and looking online.
And that's like an important thing, is I think that everyone has like those like reckless feelings to go like pick up and go somewhere else, travel, do whatever, and it's a matter of if you act on them. And I feel like
buy the ticket.
I feel like that's like the biggest thing I tell people. I'm like, just buy the plane ticket. Like once you have the ticket, you're gonna need to go. So you're gonna need to go through with it.
Buy that ticket.
Like just it's a few buttons online. Like just do it. Like
a couple $100.
And I think you don't want to get to be like 35, settle down, and regret that you didn't do it. Like I feel like everyone has that urge to do it. It's a matter of if it like surfaces and you actually like go through with it, or else it's gonna hit you later down the line and you're gonna completely regret it. And like I just never want to live with any sort of like regret that I didn't do something about it.
Yeah, this girl reached out to me on Instagram, and like we followed each other for a little bit on social media, but like I like your picture, or like that was a fire post, like stuff like that. But she just goes, yo, come down to Florida, I have a free room. I'm like, all right, and I'm gonna be there in January for a week.
Kind of people.
And I didn't even go like, I don't know, like, well, let's just see. I was just like, all right, I'll see you in January. Like, are you free at this date? Cool, I'll see you then. And bought the ticket.
Awesome.
It's like, I don't know. It's funny because like maybe from a perspective of someone that, maybe they don't want to do this type of thing, and I respect that too. Like maybe they're happy being at home, but I know there's a lot of people, especially that are in their 20s, that are like, I want to do this kind of stuff. I want to like challenge myself. I want to do something new and go these places.
Yeah.
But it's like just a matter of like getting over the fear of
Well,
doing it, like just actually committing to doing it.
I think as we were talking about earlier, like the whole like instant gratification, I like how you said in the beginning how you were like, I think I was lucky that I had these friends that were in it. I think a lot of people don't talk about the luck that they had, and I think that like there's this like it's so easy, similar to see like that one rock star that partied and still like made it to like age 70 and is still like smoking and somehow was the one guy that got away with it, you know? But like it's the same thing in like the rap industry or like in the photography or videography industry where you have that one dude that's only been shooting for 3 years, but he's shooting for J. Cole, like, you know, and you're like, and then people are like, oh, how'd you get started? He's like, well, I was watching Netflix and I was like, yo, I can do this. And then it's like, what?
And
like
people definitely focus on that. People pick out the rare cases and they think that's normal. And like what you said about luck is like, I don't think of it as pure luck. I think of it as very pointed luck. Like, you're not going to be sitting home on your couch and like the opportunity to go shoot EDC isn't going to fall into your lap. But if you keep like forcefully putting yourself in these situations where you interact with the people who could later like down the line connect you to those opportunities, like that's luck that you met those people, but it's because you manifested it. You put yourself in that position. And I think that's how a lot of what I've done so far has come to me. But then another big thing to recognize is that like you even said, a lot of people tell me like, expect the no emails, like expect the people saying no. Well, for the longest time I'd reach out to people and they wouldn't even respond to me. So I started getting no's and I was like excited. I was like, at least I'm getting a response. Like at least they're acknowledging that I'm reaching out to them. I literally thought my email must have been broken. No one was reaching out to me. So it like once I got a no, I was like, okay, like they're recognizing that I'm serious about this and I'm reaching out to offer work. They just don't need it. They don't want it. They have someone else. It's not for me, but it's a step at least.
And the more you continue to go down the path that you're going down, you'll see each year that you continue to reach out to those people. Each year you'll get more responses back of people going like, yeah, sure. Like, what's up? Or like, people being like, yo, your work's dope. Instead of being like no or no response, because I remember the first year or two I was shooting photos, I was reaching out to like 1,000 people, like via DM, via email. Like once DM became a thing, but DM wasn't a thing when I first started. But like even just like email and going to their websites and contacting them, hey, and I was just like, yeah, no one responds.
I think I've actually hit up close to an entire small festival before
of
artists
like,
that hello, I only got a few responses to, but most no response.
Do you have a tour photographer? Hey, what's up? Hey, how did you? Yeah, I was just wondering, like, do you have an assistant? Or like, hey, I'm literally just wondering, like, how you got started. And like, people are like, go away.
It is crazy. Like, I remember hearing this
more and more
speech from this author, Neil Gaiman, and he talks about, he gave a commencement speech at this college for all people that are like in the arts. So he's talking about like freelance life and like that kind of thing. And because a lot of those people are about to go into that field. And he talked about from his own personal experience, he did that. He started off as a writer. And he said something along the lines of like being in this freelance career is like putting like messages in bottles and just like putting a ton of them out there and like just hoping that somehow it'll come back to you. And then all of a sudden, after you put, like, you think, okay, you're going to get rejected, you're going to get no response, you're going to get no recognition. And then all of a sudden, this is what he said for him, is like, all of them will start coming back to you at some point because you put so many out there and just someone connects with it and you just cast so many nets that like at some point there's going to be some like return
that
on
person
that
starts all of a sudden following you and you're like oh shit,
and their cousin works for like this like big
there's
brand
some weird
and,
connection and like I also believe like wholeheartedly in like helping other people starting out. Like there are a lot of like I work with a lot of like DJs and like smaller artists that like I love to do favors for them because I mean they do favors for me and it's like the people like no one's as hungry as like someone who doesn't have anything yet. Like if you don't have any of the attention you're looking for from like labels or managers or anything, like no one's gonna try harder than you because you're starting with nothing. So like I think like the more you like it's hard to be new and jump onto like the Chainsmokers or something like that. But like if you're new and you're growing with someone else that's new, like you both get big in your own way, like as you're putting more and more effort into it. And then like that reconnects like later down the line, and you know where they came from. To me, those connections are so much more important than just hopping on some random.
Right. And it keeps your
artist.
drive alive as well. Like, I know that teaching younger people photography, or people that are just thinking to get into it and they just want to know, they just picked up a camera, they tell me their camera, they tell me their lens, whatever.
Yeah.
We just talk about their camera, we talk about a little bit about Photoshop, about the little like things, and just teaching them and sitting them down and seeing how hungry they are to like get into it makes me feel like, oh fuck yeah. Like, I'll whip out like my old notes and stuff like that and be like, oh yeah, you definitely need to know this. Make sure you don't forget this. And I'm like reminding myself and also seeing their hunger. So it's like, I'm sure the same thing, like maybe I'm wrong, but I'm sure the same feeling they get from like basketball players that have been in the league for a while. And then you have young bucks that get on the team that are just coming out fresh out of college, like so hungry for the ball. And you're kind of like, actually, I'm like back into it.
It's kind of cool to see, like, because you were at that point at one point
Exactly.
too, so it's kind of cool. It's like it's a memory kind of deal.
That's the thing. It's like you gotta have the recognition that, you know what, at some point I was where this person is.
Well, and to stay hungry.
And stay hungry,
like,
and like you could actually help them get further along with their kind of step of the journey than you were at that time.
Yeah.
And that's pretty gratifying. And then, you know, you realize that people are going to do that to you. And like one thing that I realized, or that I heard recently, is like always surround yourself with people like that are like in your craft. Say it's photography. So surround yourself with a photographer and, you know, just spend time with a mentor or a photographer that's better than you.
Yeah.
And then also spend time with people that are like just started and you can help them. And then like you're really like creating something, you're refining your skills, and then you're also teaching other people, which actually helps you, you know, in just many areas.
Yeah.
So I just think that's like really cool, and I want to keep talking about this, but the time limit. We have a short time limit for this podcast because Alyssa has some stuff that she needs to get done, and it took us a while to set
Always
up.
grinding.
But we are gonna definitely have a part 2 of this podcast because this topic is awesome.
Hot topic.
Yeah. So like, you guys have any final words before we sign off here?
Nah, stay hungry, yo.
Same.
All right. Awesome. All right. Well, we appreciate you guys listening, and we'll
wait, hold up.
Soon.
You want to plug your Instagram or something like that?
My Instagram, sure. So I am at Ally Pass. It's ALYYY. 1 through 2 were taken. So Ally Pass is my main Instagram. I do have an Ally Pass Media Instagram, but
cool.
I definitely post more to my main account.
And we'll put all those links down below. Thank you guys for listening. You guys are awesome.
Thanks.
Thank you for listening to Breaking Boundaries podcast. We appreciate every listener out there, and we hope that we can continue to provide value and inspiration as you move forward in your lives. Please subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, rate and review, as that helps us out as we strive to make the podcast bigger and reach more people across more platforms. If there's anything we can do to improve the podcast, or if there's any suggestions, please don't hesitate to let us know. We're here for you. Thank you for listening, and continue to break your boundaries.